Yeah, it's kind of fun.
We went on the Ferris wheel.
I was gonna say, but I was a woman when I was a kid, and even now I don't like heights. So that I'd go on like those, and the Ferris wheel maybe.
Yeah, I'm hoping not for the tilt-a-whirl or that kind of stuff anytime soon.
Yeah, things are busy. We have the highest volume.
Okay, good morning, everybody. It is 9 a.m., so we will get the July 18th DDA meeting rolling. Would like to start with roll call, please, Liz.
Here.
Here.
Here. Here.
Here.
Here.
Thank you. So now we have review and approval of the agenda. Any recommended changes to the agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Motion by Mr. Powers,
Second.
second by the mayor. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Next is public comment. So we have two public comment sessions, one at the beginning of the meeting, one at the end. We ask that you limit your comments to 3 minutes, and please give us name and address. Thank you.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
My name's Rick Venner. I'm a Slabtown resident of Traverse City. I'm the vice president of the Cherry Capital Cycling Club, which membership stands at about 520 people currently. I'm also a founding member of the Grand Traverse Safe Streets Alliance, which has 8 members, including folks like the Traverse City Track Club, Norte, TART, Cherry Capital Cycling Club, the Disability Network, and more. Let me take you on a little journey of what could be. Imagine every neighborhood is a trailhead with downtown bike corrals as a destination, including the new Rotary Park. Slabtown, Morgan Farms, Incuchi Woods, Boom neighborhoods, and many more would be better connected. We are so very close to connecting and driving more people into downtown if the DDA would envision protected and designated multimodal routes from the Bayfront, East Front, and south of town. We ask that you keep this top of mind with every decision you make, starting with today. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comment? Okay, next on the agenda is the consent calendar. So the purpose of the consent calendar is to expedite business by grouping non-controversial items together to be dealt with by one DDA board motion without discussion. Any member of the DDA board, staff, or the public may ask that any item on the consent calendar be removed therefrom and placed elsewhere on the agenda for individual consideration by the DDA board, and such request will be automatically respected. If an item is not removed from the consent calendar, the action noted in parentheses on the agenda is approved by a single DDA board action adopting the consent calendar. Item A, consideration of approving the minutes from the June 20th, 2025 DDA regular board meeting. Approval recommended. B, consideration of approving the June 2025 financial reports of and distributions for DDA General, Old Town TIF, and TIF 97. Approval recommended. Does anyone on the board or anyone from the public wish to remove any of these items from the consent calendar?
To note that we do have the Arts Commission financials also on that.
Sorry, I'm looking at the old, no one, so I'll say the Arts Commission, the item B will be changed to the June 2025 DDA General, Old Town TIF, and TIF 97 financial report, and Arts Commission approval recommended. Thank you.
I'll make the motion that we accept the consent calendar as presented.
Motion by the mayor. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Spencer. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, next is old business, TIF 97 project priorities report. I'll let you take that, Harry.
All right, good morning, everyone. As everyone remembers, this is the standing memo in our packet moving forward as we're working on these 3 big transformational projects. I just want to provide an update. On July 8th, we had an open house for Rotary Square, at Rotary Square. About between 30 and 35 people provided comments on the 2 concepts, which you see in your packet on page 17. Concept A we're calling the outdoor living room. Concept B is called the Petoskey Stone. There are a lot of similar elements and some differences, but all the elements are in each of these concepts. And the idea with this next phase is not that you're picking A versus B, but you're kind of talking about what components of A and what components of B do you like and how they meld together. So in addition to the comments that we received at the open house, we do have these 2 design options on our website, and people can submit comments, and we're over 100 comments to date working on that. We'll have that open for the rest of the month. The DDA staff, along with the steering committee, will then be working with Progressive to essentially develop a final concept for this project. So more to come on that. I do want to know, it's in your memo, that both of these concepts, A and B, involve modifications to the alley, and just to make it clear that the alley is under the purview of the city, so anything that we do with the alley would have to come with approval from the city. In some instances, we've had discussions about closing the alley or using the alley temporarily, and those are still all on the table, but regardless, a decision on any treatment to the alley would require approval by the city, just so everyone knows.
Mayor?
Yeah.
I just had a quick question, well, one quick, easy question, I think,
Yeah.
and one quick comment. Quick, easy question, where can people find the feedback survey online?
It's on our DDA website, and there's a page devoted to this project.
Perfect.
Yep.
And then the other one was, I would just share that what I have been hearing from a couple commissioners that are currently on the commission and from some people in the public is very much an interest in at least maybe abandoning the parking spots there or doing something else to make that design flow more into the alley. And right now, that, you know, obviously it hasn't come to us and it'll start here, but a discussion of maybe like more of a Garland type street or alley streetscaping back there where it's a little more confusing where pedestrians should be or streets should be or cars should be, or something else that allows that to flow more as a park than you're hitting an alley that's more like, that's kind of has parking spots and a busy kind of traveling conduit.
Yeah.
That is just feedback. Obviously, that's not engineering, hasn't touched that, but I just wanted to share that this kind of, people are excited about this project when I'm talking to them and are also kind of the idea that the city probably should work very closely with the DDA on making this whole area feel more park-like and not just doing nothing or leaving it as is, making it a little bit more walkable, bikeable, and feeling like a parkland.
I would say that's consistent with a majority of the comments that we received to date, is that interplay with the alley and that connection to Fish Pass is top of mind for a lot of people, so, yeah.
And Harry, when is the kind of the date for just decide on the design?
So we are targeting the end of August, early September. We don't have a definitive date, but that's the time frame.
Thank you.
So Harry, I do have a question. I looked on, so page 19, you have working phases and milestones, and you have schematic design timeline September. And then if you go to the next page, which is the Rotary Square timeline, it says schematic design complete July/August, and then final conceptual design public feedback events August, September. So I guess the bottom line I'm thinking of is, are we still on schedule?
Yes, yes. I found, sorry if there's confusion between the 2 phases and milestones. We'll make sure that that's corrected, but yes, we are still on schedule.
Okay.
Yes. Farmers Market Pavilion and the Boardman Ottaway Riverwalk are in process. We've had very productive meetings with both the Beckett and Rader staff and city engineering on the Farmers Market Pavilion, and are moving forward with that. And then we are also having those same productive conversations with Inform Studio on the Riverwalk, and we're making progress, and we're also on track for those as well. Obviously, with a potential spring timeline for the Farmers Market Pavilion, we're moving quickly, but we're going to make sure we're doing this project right. So we're going to continue to work quickly, but also take a look at all the different options we have about the construction of that pavilion if we get to that point.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, I was just going to share one more thing. I think it was literally the day after our last meeting, there was the hailstorm.
Right.
And farmers market participants, some left because their tents were so damaged. A lot lost some of their product because the wind and everything got knocked. They were already kind of setting up when everything hit. So I did hear from a lot. I went at about, I think, 11, so some who was left, I'll say, from quite a few of the vendors. You guys are doing this right, and I just wanted to say that on the record because we heard some things that people don't want this. The vendors were very much, and maybe it was the storm, or maybe we have a letter signed by several vendors as well. But just to reiterate that, having people, these people who are selling their products, farm products, local agriculture and produce, and coming out to do it here, are investing in tents and things, and that there's, that costs some of these businesses money, that they're smaller operations that they now have to have. So I know a lot of them were asking, there's going to be a pavilion soon, right? We're not going to have to keep doing this, because there were a couple weather incidences over the last year that also, didn't quite have as much of an impact on all of the farmers, but there's been some high winds incidents and things like that, that I know a lot of the farmers and vendors just are looking forward to having something more permanent. And so I just wanted to share that because it was right the day after our last meeting, and it was very much hive mind for me when they were speaking to me, and now that we're at this next meeting and you just gave the update, to kind of share that out for the public.
Oh, that's great. And I think on our last packet, and we're continuing to do this, is we have signatures from vendors, going to have a declaration of support for the project, and we'll continue to do that.
Perfect.
So the only comment I want to make is, as we go forward in our decision processes for all three of our projects, I like the fact that you mentioned about the issue about the alley and the parking, because I want it to be very well known, very public, that the DDA is not doing this work in a vacuum, right? And if we do, for example, do something with our plant bridge over the river, that's probably going to involve some work with Eagle. It could potentially be work with the city because of parkland. We may even want to bring in people who are partners like the GTB in that activity. So I want us to sort of keep in mind, I'll call it regulatory activities that are going to be necessary for us to really fulfill our designs and to fulfill our visions. And I do see you have on the Borderway Autoway Riverwalk timeline, you have Eagle permit. So I know obviously that's in the minds, but I also want to be in our minds and to be very aware to the public that we know that we have to join with others to create these projects. Next, moving downtown forward TIF plan.
So this is a conversation we started at last month's meeting. And looking back on the calendar, the last time that this board talked about the Moving Downtown Forward TIF plan in any kind of concerted way was almost a year ago in August. A lot has happened in that time. And so we started talking about looking at the TIF plan as it relates to kind of current activities. And the biggest one that's come up recently, and Amy Shammer, I'll ask you to expound on this if you want, is the strategic action plan by the city. And so we talked about our last meeting, a good exercise would be to kind of look at what the DDA is doing in a variety of ways as it relates to the strategic action plan. So what you'll see is an attempt to have that conversation started with this multicolored spreadsheet. And I will admit it is difficult to read, so I'll try to explain it and see how we're thinking of it. Each of the colors represents one of the strategic pillars that's in the strategic action plan. There's 6. Each one of those strategic pillars has one objective and then a number of actions. Some of them are specific and some of them are very broad. And so we took all those, and then we looked at our Moving Downtown Forward guiding principles, and that's in the gray on the back, on the second page of the sheet. And then we looked at the infrastructure projects that are listed in the last draft of the TIF plan, Moving Downtown Forward TIF plan. We looked at the big three project priorities we're working on right now, which we just discussed, the Pavilion, the Riverwalk, and Rotary Square. And then we looked at what's currently allocated in our budget and tried to see where those things mesh together, where they align. So the whole purpose of this chart is can we show where we align with the strategic plan and where there's big gaps? And for the most part, I think all the work that we're doing is in alignment with those strategic action steps to some degree or another. Some are more and some are less. But I think we're on the same playing field with the strategic action plan. I don't see us diverging from that too much. We could add to this chart, anything from are we a lead, are we a support agent, that type of thing. What's in our CIP. So we can continue to add to this chart, but this is really just the beginning of a conversation about how we align currently with the city and how, when we start thinking about projects we want to work on in the future, with the assumption that we're going to extend the Moving Downtown Forward TIF, what are our priorities? So that's essentially what this worksheet is attempting to begin. I did kind of give a homework assignment to say if you have time to look at the strategic action plan and what we're doing to bring those here, and I'm not going to put anyone on the spot, but I guess I want to start the conversation if anyone had any thoughts or ways they wanted to proceed with this comparison.
So one thought I had really quickly is, and this is very more of a checking in with everybody up here versus a maybe my specific thoughts. I do appreciate how you've laid it out at the bottom and kind of drawn some of those lines between the priorities and projects a bit. I would say we're going to tackle the first kind of looking at the city's current budget, as now we're in July, to our strategic planning with David from Future IQ on Monday at the meeting. And I had the thought probably like a week ago, and then it went away, so sorry, Harry, I didn't give you a heads up that I had the thought, that maybe we would, if it wasn't too much money, or if we have some allocation for this, having David actually go over some of our list, and he's very familiar with our strategic planning for the city, obviously. And again, I don't think we're out of alignment, but I think maybe what I've found interesting when I'm having conversations with him is some of the topics I've brought up or seen brought up, he's had them kind of in different buckets or in different perspectives on it, and really help the people that were asking about it to communicate it, how it fits into the plan better. And so, not that I think that the staff hasn't done a good job of identifying things, but we know we have a communication problem sometimes, and maybe just having him give a once over and almost like I won't say a stamping it, but kind of giving us a little bit of a framework and for the conversation. So, a small consulting fee might not go away if that was a possibility with him. Because I know the city is going to continue he did his work for us on the strategic plan. We are now going to engage Future IQ to help us guide us through the early implementation of the plan ourselves as a city. So he will be continuing to work with us too.
What I might suggest, and I think this has been part of the discussion, is that he will be looking at all of the plans. Like, he'll be looking at the mobility action plan, the master plan. So if we fall into that bucket of plans that are associated with the city, that makes a lot of sense.
That's great. I'll
Yeah.
ask about that too.
Yeah.
Thank you.
If I can just add to that, so I had to re-interview for the GDA, and as part of that process, I did have I kind of went through the strategic plan, the city plan, and just kind of get my hands around it. And I do think the most important thing, I think this is great, is the narrative. And so now building what the narrative is, our story, and how it fits is the most critical component, I think, right now, to make sure that we're telling the right story. And to your point, Mayor, communicate it in an effective way. So I have lots of notes and stuff, Harry, that I can give you on thoughts. So happy to do so if you want some more input.
That's great. I agree, and I think that message comes in the collaboration with the city. I don't know if anyone has seen social media that we've done lately, but we had some videos, and those videos purposely included our city partners in that description of what the DDA and TIF has funded downtown, so I agree with you.
So first of all, I think this is a great job. I know we talked about how you've done. I know it was, a mapping exercise like this is
Yeah.
an exercise really in bringing out a lot of different ideas. What kind of struck me, this just, if I kind of look at this, and maybe it's just reinforcing maybe my own sort of biases. One is a little bit empty in fostering a regional collaborative approach, but I think it's also something that the city is working on as well. So I mean, this is not, it's not a DDA sort of problem. It's a regional problem. I do know that at least there used to be sort of like a leadership council meeting that met monthly where government leaders would meet.
But there still is, that's very much just an informal lunch
It's
versus
very
a-
informal,
yeah,
right?
Yes.
But I mean, there is, I
Yes.
mean, you have that at least as a basis, right? You could
Yes.
say to move forward.
Yeah.
And the other part, and again, this may be a bias on my part, is sort of the building the thriving year-round economy. And, I believe just the downtown has gone through a lot of change, at least since I've been here, since 2018. A lot of that is a result of the pandemic, I think. A lot of that is just a result of, I think, trends, real estate values, lots of different things that are contributing to that. And that I think that there is some areas of focus perhaps that we could do better on in the future. So just kind of hit me with sort of this data set.
Quickly as possible, I echo the narrative that Shelley was speaking about and the public comment from Mr. Venner. I just encourage everyone to do a Google search of Jeff Speck downtowns. He's a walkability urban planning expert. Harry's not because he's probably seen him at a conference or two. But he just has a great way of giving the story of, if you're looking at walkability, you start with downtown and you connect it outward like a hub. And I think we have advantages in Traverse City. We're small. We have this linear city, so Boardman Lake kind of forces everything downtown. We have that advantage, but we also have a lot of little spots, intersections, if you're asking me as an urban planner, that kind of inhibit that. So I think for us, and this ties into the economics as well, because like when we redesigned 8th Street, we didn't focus on bikeability or walkability. We focused on economic vitality, and in 2020, when it finally came, you don't redesign a street for economic vitality downtown without having bikeability and walkability and all those things. So I just think I've said it before here, I think the aligned strategically with a lot what's in the strategic plan by default, because we want a strong downtown. And in 2025, when you're redesigning a downtown, it falls into a lot of these categories. So I think that's, having a strong downtown is a climate action response. Having a strong downtown is a walkability response, all these things. So again, their narrative is already out there. The strong cities that we're going to emulate are doing it, so we can look to them for leadership.
Any other comments? Well, thank you for putting this together, DDA staff. I think it's really good for us to keep this in mind as we move forward through talking about our upcoming plans and making it very aware that we are part of Traverse City. New business, DDA handbook. I guess.
Good morning, everybody. Patrick Mellon, I'm the chair of the governance committee. So this handbook has actually been in front of the governance committee for quite some time, and we no sooner start to take a look at it, and of course we've had something else that came up, or 1 or 2 or 5 things, and we've had to set it to the side a little bit and work on a contract or work on a process or whatever. So finally, the committee was able to meet. We're sorry we were able to join us, Amy.
Yes.
But it has been something in the works for quite a bit. And basically what we did is we sat in a while ago and we took a look at the DDA employee handbook. It just needed some revision. It just needed a little bit of updating. Matter of fact, I was hoping that maybe, Shelley, you had a chance to take a look at it all. Cool.
Yep.
And, but anyway, so basically, it's in line with those of the city employees of Traverse City. So, and just some verbiage has been changed. You know, the city calls one holiday one thing, and the DDA calls it another thing. So, but it's right in line with the city, and I believe it's right up to snuff.
So do we have a motion for approval?
I'll make the motion that the DDA board approves the DDA handbook as presented.
Second that motion.
Motion by the mayor, second by Mike. Any discussion? Okay. Call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Don't worry.
Next, Executive Director Evaluation Proposal.
So this was another thing that was brought up at our governance committee meeting, and it's time for us to talk about Harry. And anyways, so we actually had a little chance to talk about this a little bit. We would like to bring in Kate again and have her kind of conduct the interview process and the evaluation process. We've used her before. Pete had expressed a concern that maybe we could look around a little bit. I know that a lot of the city boards were very comfortable with her. She seems to know the process in which to do it. It's a thing that we've got to do, so.
And I believe she did TCLP's
Yep.
evaluation, correct?
Just
So-
recently, yes.
She's done TCLPs a couple, for quite a few years, and she did a couple for the city as well.
Right, right,
And
so-
and she is on our officers' compensation board as well.
Oh, okay.
So, really quick question I had is, and just trying to get just in my head, so the city manager and city attorney are usually reviewed right around the budget season, because it's the start of a new budget, obviously, in a new year. Is this kind of are we looking at, ours would almost be like the start of the year, or is this, we're doing it now because we haven't done it in a while? And so do we have a time, basically, that we want to consistently do the review of the DDA executive?
We didn't really put anything like that. I think
So
we were-
to your point, Amy, I mean, I started in July of last year, so
Yeah.
it's been a year. And so I think it's like that end of June, beginning of July would be the appropriate time to do that. So-
And that's perfect. I just wanted to kind of point out that the city does have, like, it's in contracts, in our contracts with everybody, that we do it, you know, in theory, within a certain period of time. Usually there's some flexibility if, you know, there's commissioners out for several weeks and can't all meet together, so it's an actual meeting with all your employers. But I just am curious, because that then makes sure that at no point does anybody skip it because it gets busy or it falls off somebody's radar. And so I don't think we have to do that right now, but I would propose maybe that's something that we look at, either amending Harry's contract to put that in, or creating a policy of, you know, any needed reviews will be done by September 1 or something every year, so that we have that out there and make sure it doesn't at any point lose touch, because we know that can be easy to do, especially with DDA being even smaller, even though it's one employee, to kind of say, we're very busy, you know, and that just kind of fell by the wayside. We don't want to do that, so that we're always having good feedback for Harry.
Kind of like a DDA or a DDA handbook. It's just easy to put on the shelf, so I'll remember that. Okay.
Sorry I wasn't at the meeting. I probably could have said that then.
I think it was, yes, something came up.
Yeah.
So the recommended motion is to approve the Executive Director Evaluation Proposal.
Oh, sorry, I can make that motion since I just went off. The DDA board approves to enter into a contract with Human Resource Partners for a not-to-exceed cost of $4,000 to facilitate the Board of Directors' 2025 performance evaluation for the Executive Director for the Traverse City Downtown Development Authority.
So we have a motion by the mayor. Do we have a second?
A second.
Second by Mr. Powers.
I did have another quick question. I know when we lay out the city one, we, pick different staff to be interviewed and even sometimes partners. Do we have kind of a framework for that, or are we going to bring Kate in and she's going to kind of help us construct that?
As it's laid out now, would be kind of traditional evaluation with the DDA board, but that's something we can have a conversation with Kate about, for
Okay.
sure. Yep.
And that's not essential for me to vote on. I just was curious.
And now that this is a go, I'm assuming it's a go, I'll make sure I sit with Harry and we get that lined up.
Great.
Any further questions by the board? Call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next, back to Harry, the holiday lights proposal.
All right, everyone's favorite topic. We're Christmas in July, I guess. I'm actually going to have Lauren come to the podium because Lauren was on point for securing the memo and the motion that's in your packet. Just a brief background, the DDA has been doing holiday lights downtown for quite some time. We just wrapped up a 3-year contract with our previous contractor. So we need to start thinking about next year and then moving on from there. I guess I'll turn the torch over to Lauren. She'll summarize the whole thing, but that's kind of where we're at. Go ahead.
Good morning, everyone. Yes, talking about one of our community's favorite things that the DDA does, the holiday lights. So, like Harry said, the DDA's contract with we had a multi-year contract with our last vendor that ended in the 24-25 holiday season. So in April, we released an RFP for the installation and removal of the holiday lights for at least the 25-26 season, and then we offered the vendors the ability to, in their bid, offer a multi-year contract if that was something that they were interested in providing. So we received bids from 4 different vendors. And after reviewing each of the company's bid materials, their scope of work, what they would provide, and the costs, as well as their previous work and professional references, we are recommending that the board move forward with Strain Electric's bid. They are based out of Grand Rapids. They're a company that has been in business for 75 years, very well established on the west side. So we really liked what we saw in their scope of work and what we heard back from their references. So Strain did provide a preliminary contract for the board's review, which is on the next page, and sort of gives an overview of the scope of work that would be included in the contract if it was approved. We have outlined both in the preliminary contract and in this sort of bid sheet on the memo the cost per year that Strain provided.
You go ahead. No.
A couple questions. Just curious, what the difference in cost from the first year, second, third year? What was the reasoning for that?
Yeah, good question. So it's interesting. I learned a lot about holiday light installation through this bid and the questions that we got. So the first year they have to procure the lights. So the first year is going to be significantly more costly because they have to purchase the lights. The middle year is the cheapest because they don't have to take down, they already have the lights, and then they don't have to take down in our scope or in our scope of what we requested. We do have some lights that retain year-round lights on the trees. So in the middle year, those wouldn't come down at all. And then in the last year, it's, again, a little bit more expensive than the middle year because those year-round lights also come down. So.
And we don't own any lights now? These are all new lights?
Correct.
The previous vendor, those were kind of leased? Is that the way we operate?
Essentially, yeah.
Okay.
Good question.
And it was good to see that we're getting bids from kind of all over the state. How do you bid this? Is this just on the city website, or do you put it out through the Builders Exchange or other kind of distribution methods for getting these bids?
This time we put it on our website as well as provide to the city because the city tends to have a larger reach. They have, more vendors that reach out, but certainly in the future we can expand if there's suggestions for other avenues to share the bids.
I was just curious because there are a couple kind of exchanges where, you put out your bids and they get distributed and people really look to those places. I know that's just as we're trying to get, competitive bids. Again, I think it's great you got multiple competitive bids and they look good, and, I support the bid as it's presented, but I just, the recommendation, but I was just curious and thinking of all of our projects, if we're getting them out, because just putting them on our website, I know it's sometimes hard. I work with some of these exchanges, and one of the things that they do really well is not only is it just out there and people are looking, but those organizations are recruiting, hey, I think you'd be good for this. And so it does tend to drum up, some more competition.
And I'll just piggyback. Sorry, I know, Shelley, I think your hand was going to be up. I think the city does, when things go to the city, they do put them on certain relevant exchanges.
Okay.
But we can double check on that, because if we're not doing that, we should do it as well. That's a good point.
So one question I had is, so I know this comes out of both Old Town TIF budget and DDA TIF budget. So what was our budget for these lights for this year?
I think
So
we,
I have it right here. So holiday lights for TIF 97, we had 120,000, and then for holiday lights under Old Town TIF, we had 30. So it does
So
cover-
we're at our budget, okay.
I did have a quick question.
Yes.
Sorry, and I had a quick question when I was going over this, kind of more inquisitive. The four that are wrapped in a solid color other than white, first of all, it's on there twice, and so I'm assuming those are different locations. So two things, I'm curious, where are those locations? And, you know, I think when I think of the holiday lights, I think of the trees down Front Street having the white lights on them. But, you know, just kind of, I'm just curious where that is so I can be more aware myself.
yeah, the lights that are in colors other than whites are on the bump outs at the mid-block
Okay, like the
mid-block
purple and the
crosswalks
blue.
on Front Street.
see.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so
State Theater.
we don't,
Yeah.
I mean, I think
So I
last
thought-
year we had a purple one, there was a red one and a green one. So we don't specify in the RFP that it has to be, we have to have purple lights or it has to be red. We just specify lights other than white that are, so I think the purpose of that is to sort of, when you're walking down Front Street, especially at night, the different colors sort of indicate there's something special happening here, which is the mid-block crosswalk, so it's good for both pedestrians and drivers.
Thank you. Perfect.
I just wanted to say, as the old merchant on the board, you know, I knew Lyle DeYoung. I remember going down to Ace Hardware and getting the first 2 strings of lights, getting out the ladder and putting them up, finding the electrical cord, you know. I know that at one time we did have our own lights, and as a matter of fact, I think they were kind of part of an exchange where they were later sold to like a smaller city. And we used to sit at Peter Tills and put all those light bulbs in for weeks.
Yeah.
So, and I just wanted to say, you know, I know that it's a little bit wow, but it is what it is. And we've really got a great reputation of having a beautiful downtown at Christmas time.
And actually, I'm sorry, I just thought of something that somebody talked to me about back at Christmas last year. And thank goodness I'm remembering during this conversation. The question was from one of our city, I guess, because I don't think technically they're downtown businesses, that it does feel like on West Front Street, it doesn't go all the way to that intersection at, is it Maple? I always forget, or Oak, where, kind of like where, right before CVS. And so they kind of just stops, and I know that's because that's where the downtown line ends. Is that not it? You're shaking
No,
shaking your
so
head.
we have worked with the contractor to go all the way down to Division. Now, where that
Oh,
last
great.
tree
Perfect.
is, I mean, we can talk about that, but we've, the last 2 years, we've gone all the way down to Division. We've also added quite a bit, so now we light the J. Smith walkway of just about every tree. 3 trees at the Rotary Square, we light those now, which would never been lit before. And then, as Lauren was mentioning, in the summertime, we don't have it this summer because we're in the middle of this, but we had a permanent trunk wrap of white lights all year round. So you can see those in the summertime. So we've added to our list that we used to start with back when Todd was doing it.
Yeah, when Todd was doing it on his own. No, thank you for that, because that was going to be, I was going to say, I would, if we were allowed to, I would even add money to it to do that. So that's great that we've expanded that out recently. And I did notice in the J. Smith walkway and everything
Yeah.
last year, and it's
Yeah.
really lovely. So that's great that we're, even though we're technically not downtown, by the time we hit Division, that we're keeping that continuity, because I think that, as was noted, we have a very beautiful downtown that I think the lights really help to encourage people to want to be there, even in the kind of doldrums of winter. And so I appreciate that we're doing that whole run.
I would just also note, this is, to me, another example of a great partnership. So TCLP, they man the lights downtown in terms of the light poles, and that's where the power comes from, all these lights. So if we have a strand of lights that goes out, we check the strand. If it's not the strand, it's the pole, and they come out and fix the pole. So this is just another great partnership in that. The other thing I would point out is this is another great example of kind of the placemaking amenities that TIF pays for, that if TIF goes away, this would have to be funded by the city or other sources. Just another example of that, so.
Okay. Would someone like to make a motion?
I just lost my page.
Oh, I'm in the memo, that's why.
I'll make the motion that the DDA board approves to enter into a 3-year contract with Strain Electric for a not-to-exceed cost of $148,430 for holiday lighting service for 2025 through 2026 holiday season. Further, $86,650 for the 2026 and through 2027 holiday season, and $94,955 for the 2027 through 2028 holiday season using TIF 97 and Old Town TIF funding, subject to approval as to its form by the DDA Executive Director and Attorney.
Motion by Mr. Howell,
I will second that.
second by Mr. McMillan. Any further discussion?
One last question, I guess, is what, if after the first year, the performance isn't, satisfactory, what's our kind of, is there kind of a check on this renewal? There is, of course.
Yep, so it will be in the contract, but that was also outlined in the RFP that if certain benchmarks of service and timeliness for service or, installation or removal timelines aren't met, that we have the ability to reevaluate the contract.
Sounds good.
Question.
Okay, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Executive Director Report.
Just want to point out a couple things. We had a very productive meeting with city and community partners and our consultant on the two-way pilot. As we discussed before, essentially the City Commission gave us till December to finish the pilot. And so as part of the last 6 to 5 months, what's listed in terms of what we're going to do is listed in your packet in terms of looking at the data and essentially the long-term impacts, short-term and long-term impacts if it were to stay at two-way or go back to one-way. So those are included in your packet. I do want to point out some of the general infrastructure repairs that have been completed. Most notably, I'm sure you've noticed that portions of Union Street on the north and south side of Front, as well as Cass, has been repaved. We did that in collaboration with the City Streets Department, and they turned out great. I'd also say that all of the damage to the wayfinding signs occurred last year. Those have all been replaced just about a week ago. So those have all been done. We continue to work with our partners at Seeds to do the downtown maintenance. And if you walk downtown every day like I do, you can see the before and after pictures on a lot of stuff. They've done a great job. We've also updated the J. Smith Walkway. That's all been mulched and planted, and we'll continue to focus on adding more plants as we proceed. The Hannah Park Overlook is now complete, so if you haven't been there, please be sure to check that out. It turned out really great. Another
Great place for lunch.
great place for lunch.
Great place for lunch.
Great collaborative project. Also want to point out that, as you remember, we allocated dollars in our budget for what we call general infrastructure repair, which we've been using, and then we had another line item that we called city infrastructure contribution for infrastructure. So that was if something came up with the city that they needed some funding assistance, that we had this kind of bucket to draw from. In chatting with the engineering department just yesterday, that original list of things we wanted to get fixed is quite expensive. So their recommendation was that we dip into that bucket that was reserved for city engineering projects. And so that's what I'd like to do. And that is, the total amount of dollars for that bucket is $80,000. And I think the biggest bang for our buck would be there's a mid-block crosswalk on Cass between Front and State. It's near the alley. It's in pretty poor condition. And I think the money that we have left from the general infrastructure repair and then the money we have in the bucket for city contribution infrastructure would cover the cost of that project. So I want to make sure everyone's aware of that, that was their recommendation, that we use that money for that.
I don't want to second guess any recommendation, but it also seems to me the one at Park and State is also not in great condition as well.
Well, if we had,
But if the engineering says that's the worst, then I'll believe them. But I mean, there's quite a few, right?
There's quite a few. And I think what this exercise has shown us is that investment into these infrastructure projects is necessary. And we can talk about what those dollar amounts are in our next budget. And again, those are also collaborative projects. If we do, one crosswalk, does it make sense to do all four? And then you're talking about a larger intersection. So all those things have repercussions. Because this one's a mid-block crosswalk, you're not really doing the whole intersection. So that's one reason why this one was targeted. So. And then, just to note, on Monday night, the potential zoning changes in Old Town on the 300 and 400 blocks will be up for discussion. And we talked about this at our last meeting, just again, providing additional flexibility within those districts. And then also on Monday night is the TIF implementation policy for discussion and anticipating potentially some action.
Monday
No.
night?
Yeah.
No, we got moved to early August because of the, I was going to give the update at some point of some of the things that have been going on at the city commission level, but because of some other decision processes that
Okay.
we added to the agenda for Monday night, we are moving it about 2 weeks.
So let
So,
me rephrase that. That's in 2 weeks. That's in August. Okay.
sorry.
No, no worries.
So just some comments. One item that you didn't put into the State Street that I think is very important, or at least I think it was the change at Pine.
So, because we haven't done it yet. So I,
But it's in the plans, correct?
it's in the plans, yeah. I just want to make sure that we have everything clear before we announce it. But
Got it.
essentially, we are looking at a potential stop sign at the Pine front intersection for traffic heading eastbound.
Yes.
If you've been through there, it's kind of a flow of traffic, and if you've watched pedestrians trying to navigate that, it's confusing. So we're trying to address that. I don't know the timing of that
Okay,
yet. but I
okay, all
wanted
right,
to-
I'm sorry,
yeah,
I'm sorry,
yeah.
but I think that's a very positive,
Yes.
that's why I wanted to bring it up,
Yes.
so.
So I just want to say that also I've seen people it holds up, people trying to make a left off of Front Street to get back onto Pine too.
Yeah.
One thing I just wanted to point out, and I say this that maybe we can correct it for the public, the executive report on the iCompass, so it gets published to the website, your executive report comes up as Sarah's report.
I just noticed that as I pulled
And
it up.
so I used this as my reference, so I actually wasn't able to look at these
Yeah.
materials ahead of time. So my fault for not noticing that it says from Sarah. I was just reading through all these things going on and figured there was something about the executive
I don't,
report falling into
the
that.
packet
So
that we have printed has it the other way, so I'll have
Yeah.
to look at the iCompass for that. I apologize.
no, it's okay. I just wanted to say that so that when people go to refer
Yeah.
these things or look at them in the future, that we make sure we have the proper item on that.
Yep.
Harry, just two quick questions. When do they finish off on Union, put the lines in, so people in the right lane know to go?
That is a great question. I think that's a evolving conversation with the city. So there's a certain amount of lines get done by a contractor, and that contractor is spread thin. And so the timing of when that's going to happen, I couldn't tell you.
Okay.
I can tell you that the city has actively talked about, are there certain areas where maybe they just do it themselves, but that decision has not been met. But
Yeah.
here we are in mid-July, so yeah.
So, yeah, I was going to say, I can, because I brought this up as a topic almost 2 years ago now. And so what we did do this year is we moved to a lot of the marking painting coming in-house, crosswalks, bike lanes, et cetera, because that's a matter of having, kind of a stencil and doing that ourselves. The conversation is moving towards us doing our own, but yeah, right now there's, I think, 2 firms left in the state. At one point, the city used to do it in-house, then they said, well, we have all these people doing this thing, there were all these firms doing it. It's whittled down now to 2 firms doing it in the state, and we get done anywhere from, usually it's done before Cherry Festival, but this year, not quite. I mean, 14th Street, I was just driving down it yesterday, is looking really bad. And so just the fact that we keep pushing it out, keeps getting pushed out, we're lower on the list, I think that's something that we're going to be contributing to. And I would add that, the concerns about these things for our downtown, I can definitely bring up as part of our conversations, and that potentially if TIF money is still there, that could be used to help fund whatever we might be doing long-term if we were to bring it in-house, so.
Yeah, especially on the crosswalks.
Yes.
Because you can't even see the lines on half of them, and people don't see them when they're driving.
Yep.
So it kind of kills the whole purpose.
Just for a little further context to the 2 firms that do it, they start downstate
Yep.
when the snow melts and work their way up. And you can't pay more to have them come up because
Nope.
it just doesn't make sense for them. They have to do it efficiently, south to north, so. UP gets to use Wisconsin firms, so helps them a lot.
To know.
Yeah, just some other comments. So for the Seeds folks, I actually saw them working last Saturday. So it's good, at least it's good to know that they're around, especially if there's a certain need at a certain time. So I appreciated that. And then there's just a second thing about the wayfaring signs. Just if anyone believes that Google and Apple Maps has taken over, I live basically above a wayfaring sign. And I can't tell you how many times a day there are people there staring and looking at that and trying to figure out where to go. So it's actually very surprising to me, and it's a good investment for our downtown. Okay, no further questions. Next item, introduction.
I want to take a minute to introduce our new team member, Carly, who's behind me. Carly came on last week, or 2 weeks ago, and she's our new communications and special project coordinator. So Carly will be doing a lot of stuff for us, a lot of communications, social media, a variety of things, and then also just different initiatives that the DDA is working on, both small and large. So recent graduate from the University of Michigan, and a Traverse City native, and just glad to have her on board. So I want to make sure everyone knows that we did that.
Welcome. Next item, we don't have anything right now, but it's board member reports. And I believe the purpose of this is there are times where the governance committee may meet or the financial committee may meet. And because of the way our system works with reporting official board meeting minutes, it doesn't happen until the next meeting of that particular committee. And that could be 2 months, 3 months, 4 months down the road. So the goal here is that if we do have a committee meeting, that we could sort of have an unofficial board member report in this particular time frame so that everyone is aware of kind of what's going on. In this particular case, the governance committee met and made some recommendations for our meeting, so it wasn't necessary to have a board meeting report during that time, but that's the purpose of this section, is just so that we can facilitate communication amongst us if we meet offline. Next is...
Really quick, can I
yes.
actually? And I'm gonna insert myself of any updates from the city, maybe?
Sure.
At this point. And so I just wanted to, kind of as I alluded to Harry's comment there, we did have a change of leadership at the city. I'm sure that most of you probably saw that. But Monday night, it is on the agenda that Benjamin Marentet will be offered the interim city position, and that Deputy City Clerk Sarah Lutz will be moving into the city clerk position at that time. This has been discussed with both parties, so this is not something we just arbitrarily put on the agenda. So if the city commission approves that, we'll have an interim in place that should last us through at least the election in November, probably into the new year, so the new commission can decide what steps they may or may not want to take. And so I just wanted to let everybody know that there has been that kind of change, but that we already have plans to put someone in place that will be there long term as we're continuing to work through a lot of our stuff. The strategic plan, and this ties together, because it is somebody internal, we anticipate being able to just keep going with that as where we started. And that conversation does start on Monday night. So we've already kind of talked about it in context of our list, but if you wanted to get a little bit more information or see a little bit more where the commission's at with their thoughts on, and that conversation will probably be very helpful to see on Monday. I know it'll be helpful to me, seeing what my other 6 cohorts think. And so I just wanted to kind of give that kind of brief update. Monday's meeting is going to have some kind of bigger concept conversations that I think are going to help shape the next few months. With the current commission, one way or another, will change in November. So that, I think this conversation will kind of be a key for us shaping what you can, what the pulse of what's going on for the next couple months with this current commission. And then after that, we'll have kind of I think we're gonna have some more check-ins for the strategic plan and talk more about what we can do in the immediacy as well as long-term, and how we're engaging some of the partners with that. So just wanted to give that quick update for everybody to know. Sometimes I kind of feel like I clumsily wedge it into different conversations during meetings, but this is a great opportunity for me to do it in context. So thank you.
So next, staff reports, Arts Commission, Lauren.
I thought it was something else too.
Hello again. So the first item for the Arts Commission is an update on the Mural Festival. So 6 artists and 7 mural sites have been selected to participate, which is exciting. Can finally say what they all are now. So Nick Burkhart from Maple City will be painting at Oriana 10th Street. Jamie John of Traverse City will be painting at the filling station. Danya Grevengood of Grand Rapids will be painting at both Bay Family Vision and EB2 to have sort of sister murals there. Sun Visual from Grand Rapids will be painting at Silver Spruce Brewing. Drift Mural Co. From Ottawa, Ontario will be painting at the Box Building. And Datsuki Akamoto from Los Angeles will be painting at the Copy Shop. So it's really exciting to have all of these locations and artists locked in, be able to share a little bit more about the artists in the coming weeks, and get people excited to attend the festival in September. The Arts Commission's focus for the next month is finalizing the programming and logistics of what the week of the Mural Festival will actually look like. So there's tentative plans for the panel discussion, or there's tentative plans for programming that are starting to come together, and the schedule will be finalized and publicized soon. But it'll include a panel discussion with the muralists, a walking tour of the completed murals, and then there's going to be family programming at the library, where there's going to be like a community mural making for children at the Children's Garden. So it should be exciting. I, as well as some of our arts commissioners and some of our artists, were able to talk with Bill at the Record Eagle, and we were on the front page of the Record Eagle yesterday. So it's really exciting to be able to share some of the finalized details and get people excited about coming to the Nobo neighborhood in September. The next update is the rotating art exhibit. So the rotating art exhibit is on the Boardman Lake Loop Trail near Oriana, between Oriana and the Riverine Apartments. We do have a new piece that was installed around the same start of Cherry Festival. The piece is called 4 Portals. They look pretty cool. They are 4 portals, there are 4 columns, there's photos in there that are on each of the 4 different platforms. And what you see when you look at them changes depending on the angle of the sun. So it's exciting to take a look at those if you're on the trail. Another update, the Tart Bayfront expansion artistic bench. So as part of the expansion of the Tart Bayfront Trail, the Arts Commission was seeking an artist to fabricate an artistic bench for the newly expanded trail. They did have an initial artist about a year ago at this point, and that artist fell through. So as the project continued, the commission wasn't able to secure another artist before the trail was completed, but they've since revisited that proposal and found an artist that they'd like to work with. So the Arts Commission moved to purchase a bench from artist Scott Klinker's Theory Line, which there's a photo in the packet of what that would look like. At the Arts Commission's meeting on Wednesday, Michelle Hunt, the Parks and Recreation Superintendent, was in attendance to talk about the logistics of how exactly this bench would work as far as ADA compliance, clearance, whether it needs a concrete pad, where exactly it would go, and things like that. So the exact location of the bench has not been determined yet, but we'll be following up next month with Michelle to get the installation set. I think that's all I have.
Any questions for Lauren? Thank you. Sarah.
Morning, y'all. I'll try to keep it brief, but I do have some survey results from a number of events. Starting with the Toast to Downtown respondents, were generally very happy about this event change. We earned a 4.22 out of 5 on average. Detractors were those who really just wanted to keep the event as a traditional sit-down dinner, which it really had no echo of that whatsoever. But moving forward, 4 out of 5 preferred the interactive mixer. They do feel like this is still a valuable event to offer downtown community, merchants, property owners, stakeholders. So we do want to think about what this looks like moving forward. It could be something like a hybrid between what we did for the Toast to Downtown at a formal venue with a barbecue that we did last summer. Maybe we combine those two types of themes and still have this casual mixture with food and activities and music and fun, but with tables and chairs, so people can still sit down and eat. But all in all, I think everybody had a good time and want to see more of the same moving forward.
I have a quick question on this.
Yes.
I appreciated all the feedback. I participated, and it's something that I feel like because of the popularity of making us be human, slot machines might return. I did that with Harry. It was fun. But this is also a fundraiser, and so I don't see that kind of mentioned in the summary here. Is that one of the things that you're kind of looking for input and re-examining as we move forward with potentially new
Yes.
concept, new plan, is how to make that? Because I got the impression maybe it was a little weaker fundraiser than it had been in the past.
Well, there were a couple of reasons for that. We didn't have the ability to do some of those fundraisers, but moving forward, the board needs to determine what the ultimate objective of this event is going to be. If it's about gathering the community together and bridging connections and sustaining them, then maybe the fundraiser element is just something that we also do. But if the goal is to raise funds, then that has to be the primary component, and we build the event around that. So the board needs to kind of sit down and go through that, perhaps with the events committee.
And to
The
be-
DTCA
I was
board.
just going to say, to
Yes,
clarify,
not
that's
your
the
board.
DTCA board, not us.
Right,
So,
correct.
nope, thank you. That was just my question.
Moving on to the art fair series, we had the Old Town Arts and Crafts Fair, which, according to survey results, had high satisfaction with like an 8.7 out of 10. Everyone is very satisfied with organization, the service that we provided. The sales satisfaction was very high at 75%, which is a very high for art fair vendors. And there was really only one person that said that they were very dissatisfied with their sales. And we're doing well in terms of what's important to vendors and like creating a clear load in, load out process and getting attendee traffic there. So we performed very well. And then moving into Arts and Crafts Fair, it's pretty much the same for National Cherry Fest. I got a lot of unsolicited feedback in my inbox and people coming up to the volunteer tent, offering our volunteers cookies from their booths, all the things they were making, just handing free things out. It was a very, very positive event, even though it started off with rain and wind and broken art, and ended with a lot of heat and humidity. Everybody was just very gracious and actually had a good time. Satisfaction for this was a 7.7 in terms of their overall experience. Event organization is basically at 100% at 98%. And then service and communications is still very high. And then sales dipped a little bit here to a total of 60%, either being very satisfied or somewhat satisfied with their sales. And we're still performing well in terms of what's important to vendors with that attendee traffic, the processes, laying out all the booths and spacing. So we're still tracking well in terms of vendor feedback. Downtown Art Fair is in September, the 13th and 14th during Mural Fest. So we have a space for about 8 or 10 more fine artists and makers, so we're doing some outreach right now. We will have a community mural element, as I've been discussing. So I'd like to, and have made clear that I'd like to talk to the Arts Commission about cross-promotion to get folks down to build out this mural with our mural artists that Crooked Tree is helping to line up. We do have a location for the mural. Dan Steibel is graciously allowing us to use his building, which is right next to the Hardy Deck, so a very visible location. Street Sale and Friday Night Live, we almost finalized. I have 4 more people that need to get back to me, but we're at about 55 members who are participating in Street Sale this year, so just a few more than last. And we'll have all of those members added to the website today. We also held a meeting with Traverse City Fire Department to go over Q&A in terms of booth setup and how to make sure that it's a safe event in case of an emergency. So we had some new participants and some older ones that had questions. So that was a successful meeting. In terms of Friday Night Live, the web page is live with all of the nonprofits, entertainers, and food and beverage vendors who are all listed out, so you can see what's happening on either one of those days, August 1st or 8th. The highlight for August 1st is going to be a Yeehaw night. We are doing Little Dipper 90s country with line dance instruction from professional line dancers. And then we'll have more music and entertainment, some street performers, comedy and bingo, music bingo, lots of kids' activities. And then on the 8th, the All-American Dance Party is going to be featuring music from all different eras, all different genres, in sections of 2 to 3 songs. So there will be plenty of space for people to come out dancing. I'm trying to encourage dance studios to bring their folks out. The line dance group might be coming out as well, to just get people to a little more comfortable to get out there dancing. We'll still have some live music with the Time Bombs and Fresh Coast, who's a vinyl DJ. Old Town Playhouse is performing. We'll have more games, arts and crafts, lots of nonprofit activities. And then, of course, little sweet treats and some nosh along the way. We've been sharing out promo graphics with all of our participants, so hopefully you've seen some of those. And then packet with map and details goes out by Tuesday.
Sarah, I just wanted to say that I think that's a really great, first of all, it sounds fun, and that day's always fun, but these sound especially fun, but really great idea to work with TCFD and have that for the vendors. It's what I always say when you hear an idea and it seems like a no-brainer, but it wasn't done before, it's actually a brilliant idea. And so I think that was a really great move there to work with the city and TCFD on that. So, and rather than you having to field this and that and the other, or set up a separate instruction.
Mm-hmm.
So I just wanted to shout that out, that just really draw attention, that I really appreciate that.
Yes, and thanks to Harry for helping to line that up. We actually are encouraging more connection with the fire department and inviting them to the board meeting in August. So we can maintain these open lines of communications, get feedback. How did we do for street sales? So not that we haven't had those, but we're just being even more transparent about all of it.
That's great.
And then the last item would be the new DTCA Board of Directors. So they voted at the July 10th board meeting to install Karen Roof from My Secret Stash and I'm Planning and Fancy as president, Hunter Eagle of Mammoth Distilling as vice president, Katie Asher of Slip Vintage secretary, and Gary Gibran from the Little Fleet will be treasurer. Looking forward to working with all of them.
Is it
And
Gary Gibran or is it Gary
oh, Gary
Jonas?
Gibran.
Jonas.
Jonas.
I saw that in the pack and wondered.
I just read it like, I've known these people for a while now. Sorry, Jeff and Gary. But yeah, that's the team, and already everybody is very active and engaged, and I'm feeling great connection with this group. It's gelling, and it's only been a week. It's great.
Good to hear.
One really quick thing, when we were talking about this survey, and I'm saying because you're under engagement, I don't know who this goes to, so it might not be you. When we were talking about the survey, I went to the website to share it right now before I forget with public, and it's not super easy to find. Is it possible that we could have that added to the carousel that's on the front page right now?
You're
of
talking
Take
about the
This
Rotary
Is-
Square
Sorry,
survey?
Rotary Square. I left it out. You
It
don't know
is
what I'm
on.
thinking
I
when
think
I
it
start
is on the-
talking.
I think it's on the DDA website, right?
No, but I'm saying, can you add it to
Add
the
it to the
carousel so
DTCA
it's
website.
a little more prominent? Because the carousel right now is just events, which is great.
We'll work on that. Yep.
Yeah, thank you. I just think that's something that when we have an opportunity in the
Yep.
public.
Anything else?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Nothing in receive and file this month. Next, last opportunity for public comment. Please state your name, address, and limit your comment to 3 minutes. Thank you.
Richard Robbins, 720 Center Place, and representing the Grand Traverse Safe Streets Alliance. I have been asked by the executive directors and CEOs of these organizations to represent themselves, as opposed to them having to come to this meeting and make those presentations. But these thoughts that we have do represent the executive directors and the CEOs of these 8 not-for-profits, as well as the for-profit organization of Streetscape. I came last time, presented 4 different points to the DDA. I actually codified that in a follow-up email to all of you, and I've received nothing. Not even an acknowledgement of the fact that it was received, and it will get back to you. And I've been in sales for 43 years, and I always replied back to my customers. We are your customers, as well as the merchants. Not just the merchants, but we are your customers, the DDA. So the four things we talked about was a plan for the DDA to see and to hear what's the plan to get cyclists and pedestrians and the disabled from Grandview Parkway to downtown. Cass and Union seem to be very appropriate areas for rethinking traffic, rethinking multimodal transportation. The second one was for traffic calming approaches along State Street. There's several approaches to use. One of them is just to move to 4 flashing red lights, doesn't cost you anything, and do some analysis. The third one was a plan to provide safe currently there's no safe approach for multimodal access to downtown. Not at all. Again, I asked for something, let's have a discussion. No response. Hey, we'll get back to you. Let's set up a meeting. Nothing. And the fourth one was for you guys to communicate, and thank you, Mayor Sharrow, for the idea of bringing this up around painting and the DDA, but to forcefully communicate to the commission that something has got to be done, and it's still not done. In fact, the Record Eagle over last weekend had a very, very well-written article that was written by their editorial board around the whole idea of painting and how we are missing the boat as a city and as a downtown area, because all we have to do is wait for some sort of an accident or a death, and a lawsuit is because everyone's been forewarned, and yet we talk about this downstate. Well, okay, if we take that in-house, we do some other ways of doing that, then that's a great approach. I'm going to be meeting with or presenting to the Grand Traverse, the Grand.
Sir, we're running out of time. Richard,
Oh, okay.
3 minutes. Thank you.
All right.
I am Alana Leahy, and I am with Disability Network of Northern Michigan. I'm the executive director. I've been there about a year in this position, interim and such. I am at 1010 Boyd Avenue, so Traverse Heights neighborhood. What else did you need from me?
So please, to you.
That's it? Oh, okay. I'm blood type A positive. Okay, so I just wanted to start out. That's a tough follow-up, but that's okay. I was really sad to hear about the City Commission voting against pursuing the Safe Streets for All grant, working on the implementation of the Safety Action Plan. Safety of our city is instrumental to all, to motorists, non-motorists alike, right? I want to jump on the Gary Howe bandwagon. Mr. Howe mentioned that having a strong, vital downtown includes walkability and bikeability. I just want to add that it needs to include accessibility from the very beginning. It needs to implement that. We recognize that there are challenges to in space, right? We know that including everyone here and everyone's interest is really tough. I was there when you guys doing the mobility action plan. It's tough, and I get that, but I know I'm with you guys on a new budget coming up. It's impending. I'm here to ask you guys to put that into consideration in your new budget, right? Because it's really important to bring the needs of the community who find it hard to be here today to talk to you, right? And that's who I'm here to represent. I'm here to ask that the funding is devoted to resolving that and making the community safe for all to access. It's crucial to consider that non-motorized navigation throughout the city in unity with the motorized is truly important. Without doing so, you're excluding specific groups of people from full participation and enjoyment of their community. So today you talk about beautifying Traverse City with holiday lights. That only benefits the people who can get there, right? You are benefiting the people with resources. As Richard noted, I'm trying to make this fast.
you know, we are the people who are merchants, are your customers. We are also the people who are not. It's not because we don't want to be there, it's because we can't access it, right? So growth doesn't come from building for those who exist. It comes from building for those who will join in the future. We all know the great quote, if you build it, they will come, right? 1989, some of us may not. I don't know, you look really young. Right, Field of Dreams. But if you don't build it for the people to come, they can't come. They can't join. They can't access. If we can't get downtown to the heart of the city, we can't get there. If we can't get to our doctor's appointments, to the post office, to all of these places, then we can't fully use our city. So I ask again that when you consider this, that you are building not for those who are privileged, but for the people who don't have the voice to come and talk to you. Okay, that's all I got. Thanks.
Thank you. Any other comments from board members?
I just wanted to, because the grant, point out about the grant was a really good point. Just to clarify that, and I say this because it's important to the public, and I'll say it everywhere I can. 4 commissioners actually spoke in favor of that out of 7, but for the city actions, every contract, expenditure of money, and anything else requires a supermajority, so it requires 5 out of 7. And I say this as we have these conversations, not to off-put it. I was very disappointed too that it didn't go through, but to let people understand the procedure a little bit better, because I think that helps to understand when we have people have conversations with us as city commissioners or any of the board members up here, that sometimes there's the will to do it, there's not the exact number, and that can be part of bigger conversations too, because I agree that it was a very big missed opportunity that we unfortunately had, and I just wanted to kind of add that and just also say that the budget has been done, but we always can amend a budget. So.
Any other comments? Okay, thank you. Meeting adjourned.